Don't forget to like and subscribe. I still remember the heavy, overcast skies and the chill in the air on that fateful day in the heart of rural Somerset. In a small, tight-knit village called Greenvale, nestled among rolling hills and ancient woodlands, a family's life was forever changed when their beloved miner, Sammy Carter, vanished without a trace. For nearly a month, local authorities combed the rugged terrain and dense hedgerows of West Somerset, yet there was not a whisper of Sammy's whereabouts. 2 weeks after his disappearance, his grieving family took to social media, posting desperate pleas and heartfelt messages in the hope of sparking a breakthrough in a case that had already captured the nation's attention. Back in 2012, an article in the Daily Chronicle revealed a staggering statistic: around 8 million children go missing worldwide every year. In the United Kingdom, with a population nearing 67 million, reports of missing persons occur every 80 seconds, with tens of thousands of cases recorded annually. These tragic disappearances, often wrapped in layers of mystery and unexplained elements, have long haunted the public conscience. Over the past decade, I have devoted countless hours to researching such cases, gathering evidence, and speaking to those whose lives have been irreversibly altered by these unsolved mysteries. I am now compiling all this research into an extensive book and preparing a documentary series that will take me to the very sites where these chilling events unfolded. Every source, every interview, and every archival document is meticulously referenced in the description below. I begin with the heart-wrenching case of Sammy Carter's son, Danny. Sammy, a hard-working miner from Greenvale in Somerset, had planned a simple, heartfelt outing on the 7th of August, 1909. His intention was to take his 5-year-old son, Danny, to visit his grandparents, who lived on a sprawling farm near the quaint market town of Larkwood in Dorset. Their journey started with a short train ride that brought them to Larkwood by 5:30 p.m. With the late summer sun casting a golden glow over the countryside, there was a tentative promise of warmth and reunion. However, the journey on foot soon became a test of endurance. Father and son set off on a 4-mile trek along winding rural roads and steep, uneven trails that cut through the undulating hills of Somerset. The landscape was breathtaking: vibrant fields, ancient hedgerows, and the distant sound of a brook running through the woods. Yet, as they traversed narrow, dusty paths and crossed fragile, makeshift footbridges, the arduous nature of the trek began to weigh heavily on both of them. After about 2 hours of exhausting walking, they arrived at a small settlement that now lies in ruins. This site had once served as a temporary encampment for soldiers training at a nearby rifle range during a time of local unrest. Contemporary reports from that warm afternoon described the weather as almost oppressively warm, making every step a struggle. With only a short stretch remaining, just a quarter of a mile to go, Sammy stopped at a modest refreshment stall. There, he purchased a packet of biscuits for Danny to stave off hunger and fatigue. By sheer coincidence, Danny's grandfather and his cousin Willie, then only 14, arrived at the stall. The attendant, recognizing the Carter family, suggested that Willie should return to the farmhouse to wait for the grandmother's arrival. In a moment of innocent exuberance, little Danny, filled with both excitement and curiosity, dashed off with Willie up the winding valley. As twilight descended and the shadows lengthened, Danny's playful demeanor abruptly changed. Overwhelmed by the encroaching darkness and the eerie silence, the small boy began to cry, and in his panic, he turned back toward his father at the crumbling settlement. When Willie returned to the stall, he was met with the horrifying realization that Danny was missing. Sammy, distraught and desperate, immediately organized a search, enlisting the help of local soldiers, farmers, and townsfolk. For nearly 20 agonizing minutes, a chorus of calls echoed through the valley as the searchers combed the treacherous trails and murky woodlands. As midnight approached, the search was reluctantly halted for safety reasons, only to resume at 3 a.m. with a much larger group. Despite the tireless efforts of hundreds of volunteers, not a trace of little Danny was ever found. The community was torn between two harrowing theories: that he had tragically fallen from one of the rickety footbridges into the swift, cold stream below, or that he had wandered off into a remote part of the valley and met with an unspeakable fate. With mounting despair and no definitive evidence, local officials eventually began to consider the possibility of abduction, an idea that sent shivers down the spines of everyone in Greenvale. Over time, the case evolved into both a local myth and a national mystery. Today, an obelisk stands on a windswept hill at 686 meters above sea level, marking the supposed final moments of young Danny, a silent testament to a loss that has never been fully understood. The tragedy of Danny's disappearance was soon followed by another baffling case in West Yorkshire. On the crisp morning of March 4, 2010, 18-year-old Ryan Benson left his family's modest home in Benton, a quiet town in West Yorkshire, with dreams of a brighter future. Ryan was enrolled in a bricklaying course at the esteemed Bishop Burton Institute, a program designed to launch young talents into successful careers. That morning, the air was cool and filled with promise, but as Ryan drove away in his family car, he vanished without a trace. His car, which had been parked outside his home, was later discovered missing, a stark confirmation that he had indeed left that day. When Ryan failed to return, his family was plunged into a nightmare of uncertainty and grief. A swift investigation led the police to discover his car 50 miles away at Cromer Cliffs, a remote and rugged stretch along the Norfolk coast, near a long-abandoned Royal Air Force bunker. This desolate area, with its dramatic cliffs, pounding waves, and barren landscapes, stood in stark contrast to the quiet town of Benton. Oddly, a parking ticket was found on the car's window, stamped at 11:30 a.m. on the day of his disappearance, indicating that the vehicle had been left unattended for a considerable period. Ryan's family was left baffled by the absence of any bank transactions or signs of a routine fuel stop that day. Further investigations revealed that Ryan had visited several towns without informing anyone, traveling from York to Bradford, and even briefly stopping in a small village called Brislington, leaving no trace of his intended destination or purpose. The police initially suspected that Ryan had taken his own life, given the melancholic reputation of the Cromer Cliffs area as a place where despair sometimes overtakes hope. However, despite deploying state-of-the-art forensic techniques, drone surveillance, and underwater scanning along the rocky coastline, no definitive clues were uncovered. The case of Ryan Benson remains one of the most perplexing mysteries in West Yorkshire, a tragic puzzle that continues to torment his family and the local community. In the bustling historic city of York, another case unfolded that would haunt those who knew the victim. Rory James Hatfield, a 21-year-old university student known for his outgoing nature and love for adventure, vanished on the night of November 20, 2015. Rory had been spending the evening at a popular local pub, the Weatherspoon, enjoying lively conversation and good company with a friend and his father. After leaving the pub around 12:30 a.m., Rory returned to his accommodation at the York Central Lodge on Parliament Street. However, at approximately 12:15 a.m., he was last seen leaving the lodge. His absence the following day set off a frantic search and an investigation that would soon capture the attention of the entire city. Initial CCTV footage from the area near the River Ouse, especially around Scaldon Bridge, revealed a glimpse of Rory running with a look of sheer terror etched on his face. Witnesses recalled how he seemed to be fleeing from something, though no one could definitively say what. Later, a shadowy figure was spotted on the balcony of a care home, a location Rory had access to, adding yet another layer of mystery. Over the following days, the police launched a massive search across both urban and rural areas of York. Advanced techniques such as heat-sensitive imaging, sonar scans along the riverbanks, and extensive drone flights were all employed, yet no trace of Rory was found. Eyewitness accounts described him as having a haunted look, as if he had encountered something so terrifying that it would forever alter his life. The case of Rory Hatfield became a symbol of the inexplicable, leaving his family in perpetual grief and the local community desperate for answers. Over the years, these cases have come to represent not only the anguish of individual families but also the broader challenges faced by law enforcement in the United Kingdom. Each disappearance has exposed gaps in search and rescue operations, forensic investigation techniques, and even the level of community vigilance. In every instance, the lack of closure has left lasting scars, compelling families and communities to rally together in an effort to prevent further tragedies. I have met retired detectives who revisit the sites of these disappearances each year in a silent, personal vigil, as well as community leaders who organize search parties and local awareness campaigns. The collective grief and relentless hope of these communities serve as a powerful reminder that every unsolved case is a call to action, a demand for justice and, ultimately, for answers. In my relentless pursuit to understand these unsolved mysteries, I have spent countless hours poring over archival records, interviewing experts, and traveling to the very locations where these tragedies occurred. I've walked the narrow paths in the rolling hills of Somerset, trudged through the rugged coastal terrain near Cromer Cliffs, and navigated the historic streets of York in search of even the smallest clue that might shed light on these baffling disappearances. With each new piece of evidence, I have come to realize that these cases are interwoven with the fabric of our society. They force us to confront uncomfortable truths about safety, trust, and the fragility of human life. Moreover, the impact of these disappearances stretches far beyond the immediate loss of life. They challenge us to re-examine our current systems of support, whether it's improving technology in search and rescue operations or fostering stronger community ties to ensure that no one is left behind. For every family torn apart by these unsolved cases, there is a story of resilience, a glimmer of hope that one day the missing will be found and that justice will prevail. I remain committed to this pursuit, not just as a researcher, but as someone who believes in the power of truth to bring healing and closure. As I prepare to compile all my findings into a comprehensive book and a groundbreaking documentary series, I invite you to join me on this journey. I will be visiting each of these locations, talking to local residents, experts, and, in some cases, those who continue to search tirelessly for their lost loved ones. My goal is not only to document these cases but also to advocate for better investigative methods and more robust community support. Every voice, every piece of evidence, and every act of solidarity can make a difference in solving these mysteries. I extend my deepest gratitude to all of you who have supported my channel, shared your thoughts, and contributed to this ongoing conversation. Your encouragement fuels my determination to uncover the truth behind these heart-wrenching cases. If you ever have any information or insights related to these disappearances, please consider reaching out. It could be the key to unlocking a mystery that has tormented families for generations. Remember, each unsolved case is not merely a statistic, it is a person, a family, and a community forever changed by loss. Let us honor their memory by striving for answers, by never giving up, and by working together to ensure that no disappearance remains unexplained. Thank you for watching, for sharing this journey with me, and for helping shine a light on these dark mysteries. Stay vigilant, stay compassionate, and let's continue to search for the truth together.